You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine Ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everybody? It's me, Frank Castle, your sorcerer supreme, Saturday nights right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Woo!
Josh is making everybody laugh.
I'm here, my ethereal translator, Paula Milo.
Hey, everyone.
And we have Josh is with us tonight.
Toy boy.
And Gina's with us as well.
Hello.
We had a very big day today.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we start every show, I want to give you a shout out to Chris and Cherie Gio. Love you guys. Without you, we wouldn't be here doing it. Not like this. So thank you so much. We love you. And don't forget to sign up for TFR. Get the app.
Get a subscription.
Come get a subscription. Come into the chat room. Say hello. Chat room people, what's up?
Oh, yes. How you doing, chat room people, crazy people?
If you like the music you hear tonight, HeistClick. Just type it in. Check it out. Check us out. First 19 episodes up for free on YouTube. All my meditations, the playlists, all my favorites. I have a whole bunch of stuff that'll lead you in the right direction. All interesting stuff. I weeded through so much of years of just craziness and found those who were on the same fearless wavelength. So it's Frank Castle Fearless on YouTube. And don't forget to stop by wearefearless.com. Sign up. Put your email address in. And it's going to tell you, because we sold really well on the Raw shirt. And we're going to come back. We closed down the site for a little bit. And we're going to do now a grand opening. That was like the first mic check 1 2 1 2.
Oh, like soft opening?
Like a soft opening. That sounds weak. It was a soft opening.
No, they real thing.
I thought that opening was pretty tight.
They're real thing.
Personally.
Shout out to all our friends out there, everybody that's been
someone's gonna get in trouble tonight.
Everybody that's been there. It's been some interesting
couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. And before I keep saying, and
yeah, you know what?
Let me just get everything out of the way.
Good.
Well, this is the story of my journey and my journey alone. I don't suggest you try this at home alone. That is that unless you're ready, then by all means, we suggest you find a reputable shaman who knows what he or she is doing and travel safe in the love and the light. And remember, the universe rewards bravery. All right, I'm going to get right into this. Over the course of the last few weeks, we've had a lot of ups and downs.
Yes, we have.
But I'm going to jump back a little bit. I'm going to read from my notes because it's going to be relevant for everything that we're going to discuss tonight.
Okay.
We meet a lot of beings and characters doing this.
You meet a lot of beings and characters.
Indeed. You're a being in a lot of characters as well.
I know I am.
And I love all of them.
Thank
you. All
you.
right, so check it out.
I love you too.
I had gone under. I don't have the date on here, but this was months ago. Okay. I drank the ayahuasca, the last cup that I was drinking, and I sat back on the couch while other people went under. I was waiting for them to kind of go first, right? So instead of having like the regular experience where you're just fractals.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah. And we start
okay.
traveling out of body. Something completely different happens. Something so odd and out of place, but I loved every second of it. So I found myself on the couch with the blanket over my face, releasing one eye. With that eye, I was looking out at everyone, and I can see in the room the grid lines.
Mm-hmm.
And the grid lines are like the hologram lines,
Mm-hmm.
right? The illusion lines. Almost like you're in a video game,
Yeah.
and then it starts changing.
They're like the
right?
Tron lines.
And it just stopped. Yes,
Mhm.
the Tron lines.
I was going to say that.
And I woke up,
No, you weren't.
Yes,
like
I was.
I blinked my eye, and I was there. I had a glass top over my head, and I could rest my forehead on the glass, and I can see computer screens in a beautiful, clean. Everything was white and bright, and it looked like the computer screens were running diagnostics of some kind. So I looked up, and the first thing I saw was a being sitting right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, this wasn't like an ayahuasca experience. This was literally like someone I was in, like I woke up inside a dentist chair or something, and this being was looking at me. But he wasn't paying attention to me at first. He was kind of wiggling this stick back and forth between his fingers, and some kind of weird adjustment. My other eye opened, and I kind of like peeked out, and I was like, hey, what's going on here? And then I said, now this is, I didn't read the note yet, but I said, are you God? And he said, no, you know better than that.
Right.
And I said, oh, okay, you're right. Are you Anu? And he said, no, don't say that name again. We don't want to bring him here.
It's
There was
like
this very
Beetlejuice.
general sense of relaxation, right? So I said to him, are you the designer? And he says, yes, I am the designer. I am one of many designers. Like there's a bunch of them. So I said, okay, cool. Why are we here? And he says, well, this is where you're projecting in from. And I kind of try to pick my head up, and I hit my head on the glass again. And I was like, oh, I saw about 7, from what I saw, other, I don't know.
Entities?
No, tubes with people in them. Like other beings.
In the glass jars like you like.
Yeah, they were like
okay.
like tubes you could put
Yeah.
bodies in. And they were like in water, and there were electrodes up to them. But everyone looked like these ETs. And they looked gorgeous.
So you were the only human.
I couldn't
Yeah.
see myself.
Oh, so you
I
didn't
was
even know.
assuming I looked just like him.
You were assuming that.
Because I can see everyone else
Gotcha.
kind of looked like them.
Mhm.
But this was real. Like it felt real. It
Yeah.
was, I wasn't in some kind of hallucination or some kind of mind
Right, I
trick.
felt like now.
It felt like right this very second.
Right.
Same exact thing. Right? Like you're breathing and whatever. But I knew I was in water too, because I felt the swishes in the water. At one point I thought I was consciousness just floating there, but I could see their electrodes up on myself as well. All right, so I'll read my notes. Are you Anu? No, I am not. Are you God? No, I am not. Are you the designer? Yes, I am. Are you of the light? Yes, I am. I want you to say it. Say it. Say you love the Christ and the light. The being looked right at me and said, I love the Christ and I'm the light. And you are as well. And I went, awesome. I love you too. And he said, I love you. Okay.
Scary.
I said, where are we? And what is this place? And are we in the future? Yes, we are, was the answer. Okay. I was being scanned and my body was being tested. I was told my heart was out of rhythm with Earth's new rhythm. The being looked at me and said, I have to stop your heart. And he reached out. Now, that's all I have with my notes. It says, when I restarted, I felt amazing.
Yeah, because that's the shift that's going on. We have to
Earth
vibrate
was
in new Earth
Change
frequency.
to some frequency.
Yeah.
Like your inner rhythm was off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Well,
was
that's
my
how
heart
we
palpitations.
That's how we get to new Earth. We have to be on the same frequency as it.
And we're riding this frequency
Yes.
upward into 5D. So I also started discussing things like my testosterone levels, which was really weird, my purging habits, different things that were wrong with my body as a 40-year-old man. And he just twisted this little, it looked like a feathered pen.
43-year-old man.
I'm 33.
43-year-old man.
Yeah.
43-year-old man. Someone's birthday's next week.
Right. So,
Yeah. 43. 43.
so the
not
pen
40,
kind of looked like
not
this.
40. 43.
Thanks for pointing that out
Yeah.
there, beautiful. So he would turn it and then parts of my body would start to work better, right? My mind would have become clearer.
What was he turning? Like a chakra or
It
something?
looked like a pen, like a big, like those old-fashioned pens, right? But it was like one maybe that you would use with like a giant iPad or something.
Oh,
and he
okay.
put it in this device like this, and then just wiggled it around,
Okay.
kind of in between his fingers, and then adjustments went up on all the screens that were around me. Very weird, very out of place, very sanitary, very brightly lit. There was no BS involved. There was no monsters. There was no aliens. But I said to him, "You're an ET," and he's like, "Well, yeah. What do you think you are?"
Boom.
And I was like, "Well, I'm the light. I'm the Christ." And he was like, "Yes, and so am I."
In an ET body.
Right. So apparently, we're projecting in from this area. Now, one of the questions I asked was, "Are you a wingmaker?" And there's a reason why I asked this question, is because they're from. When I experienced my first, I think it was in episode 1, and I talk about my experience, there's a crack in 4D
Yep.
behind the AI,
Yep.
right up the pyramid where the eye is looking at you and projecting an image on the wall that all the mass consciousness is paying attention to, chasing shadows while nobody's just pointing at the eye, projecting shadows. Right up behind it, there was a crack, and they put me at the crack in the wall, and they said, "You're going to defend this crack because that's where Satan comes in." And Chris Gio talks about this at nauseum, and he tells you, look, Satan comes in the crack, and it's the Yahweh virus and everything. Well, they put me right there, and I said, why do I go here? There was 11 souls lined up, light beings, and in the 11th position is where I went. So they would made 12 guys, and they were like walking away from the crack, like they were like standing as far away as they could, but in their post.
Right.
So I said, well, what's with this? And they said, well, Satan comes in. You can see it coming in right now. So I said, okay, let me brace myself for Satan. And now I'm like wigging out about the eye looking at me, and I'm standing in front of it, and it's right off the side of the edge of it. So it's like a crack in the wall behind it. But you know how everything looks the mosques look very DMT trippy?
Yeah.
All right. It was like, welcome to the Bronx, by the way, for those who could hear the sirens. The mosques are just like the DMT trips, the rooms, the constructs you enter. So in this one, it looked like an inner cathedral, and there was a crack in the wall in the back. So I stuck my head out the crack because nothing came in. There was no Satan. There was not this. That wasn't the Satan. I had just sat with the Satan energy. And he said, I don't do any of that stuff. You do all that junk. So I went outside, and it was freedom. And I noticed that there was 4D was in the spiritual realm. The astral realm was in a box of some sort. And there was a wall, like a grid, that was not allowing anyone past or anyone in. But there was a crack in the wall in this. So I flew out there and took a look around, and I said, there's more
frequency fence.
There's more freedom. I said, this is true freedom. Like, we're inside. I said, why is there a roof over our heads if you're claiming this is freedom? There's no freedom with a roof over my head. I'm a light being. I should be able to travel
anywhere I want.
So there's this ultimate trickery going on. Anyway, I had read that the WingMakers had put the crack there by not being able to interfere with us, but coming back into the past and leaving little breadcrumbs, clues that would eventually lead to people cracking the wall themselves, right?
Yep.
And then lifetime after lifetime, just a chip. So the AI or whoever's trapping us, the Draconians, the Archons, all of them don't notice the change in the grid.
Right.
And then boom, one day there's a crack.
Because no one's looking up.
Right. So now there's the crack there. So they can't tell us, oh, look, there's a crack there. They say defend it from Satan to play off your religious factors or your nonsense. Okay. That was that. I'm going to move through this a little quick so we can have an open conversation about this. After Hop, the bird passed, and I found out that the bird was
taking the hit
for us. But then I had received my golden chakra for taking care of the bird, which turns out to be Source. Right? So then Source goes, well, I'm putting the bird in you. So now it's literally you because it was me, and now I'm just passing it to you. So I'm like, well, that's great. Well, with that great care of an animal that's defenseless and all this, shows love beyond unconditioned and all that, you get this. And I'm like, well, I wasn't even expecting anything.
Right.
I thought I could just come and do this.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, well, now you can just walk in here. And I always say he because it talks to me in a he voice, but I know it's the all. All right. So I went back in the other day to clear off. I felt some attachments and everything, and I'm out in the yard. I said, let me do this again. I step up into source. It happens almost immediately. I go, this is fantastic. I love this. Now, mind you, I'm not on anything. I'm just out in my yard. It's like 12 in the afternoon. The sun's just hitting me, and I'm in my shorts. And I go, source, can I come in? And the answer was immediately yes. And I said, oh, this feels great. I'm in here. My back don't hurt. Oh, good. Removal, the AI, the archons, everything. Because I had a rough time. We talked about what you removed from me.
Right.
So this was after that. So as I'm sitting there, and I'm just bathing in light, going, this feels amazing. A hole opens right over my head, and I hear, you are now the sovereign integral. And I go, what did you just say to me? And it didn't sound like source. It sounded like a separate voice. And it sounded kind of like it was being broadcast through a speaker. It didn't sound like, you are the all. And so I look up. I didn't even know at first. I was looking around, and I could see a portal open right above my head. And I was making fun of it. We talk about the portable portal from the cartoons.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
I know.
It was just above me. It was a black portal, but right on the other side, that being was there. The designer guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you are now the sovereign integral. And I heard a ding, bing. And I go, what is that?
What did this dude look like? What did this?
He's like not quite a triangle face. It's like a long face. They draw the Joker with a long face in the comics.
Right.
Picture a really good looking, the expressions are there, but it's like the mouth is just a line.
Okay.
But can still smile, right? Which is wild. And the eyes are big, with slants, but not quite Chinese eyes.
Right.
But they
like big almond.
Not almond. They have the triangle, and they could open.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they draw comic book characters like that, where it's like the points are close to the nose, and then it's like the triangles that go outward.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And they blink open. So when they make a facial expression, they look plain-faced if they're just looking at you. And you're like, is that a mask you're wearing almost? And then they smile and say hello, and you're like, oh, you're fully aware. You have teeth and everything in your face. You're not like a hologram. You're literally standing there. They have very long necks, long bodies, long arms. Not mantis arms, but mantis-like. At their wrists, their arms go up more. Their hand goes, and they have long, giant fingers. And they can manipulate stuff with grace. Okay. That's the only way I could explain it. The way they move is so graceful and so skinny. It looks like you could grab them, but like 8 feet tall.
So this thing opens up, talks to you, and says,
its face is there, and I could see the background. This is what freaked me out.
Okay.
I saw it was the same place where I had woken up. Right. It was the background. I said, "Oh, look at the office view you have is amazing." But I was like, "Wait, what? Why would I even say that?"
Like looking into the fish tank or something. Now you're in the fish tank and you were out of it before.
And and I'm looking, and he goes, "All right, you're the sovereign integral." Then I heard a ding, like almost like the toaster went off, like your bread is ready. And I asked him, "What is that? What is that?" And he says, "No, your light being's ready to merge with you, and we're going to do this now, and it's going to happen. Like it's happening. You've already not only made the adjustments with all this, but it's time, and we're going to tell you why it's time, and it's going to happen right now." They're like, once again, the enemy on all sides is dark, right? There's things that they can do and get away with, and there's things that it's natural law you can't mess with. Now, here's a mind-blowing fact. Atlantis was destroyed because of technology that was used to open a portal to a darker realm to let some stuff out. They played with Toth's technology and opened up a portal. Right. So they used a CERN device back then to do it, right? They were playing with that, the God particle stuff. So this being says to me, you have heard of the LHC, yes? And I said the Large Hadron Collider. And he goes, yes. Just right then, right next to my head, on the right side, I saw the CERN device. And it was like the giant circle standing there. Yep. And then I saw Source raining energy down onto us as human beings, and we had our mass consciousness absorbing this light like it was yummy, like it was raining Skittles on us, right? And they turn the device on, and it creates a choke point. It sucks in Source's energy, and all that light that was raining down just gets sucked into this other area right in front of the device is spinning like an open portal, right? And then spinning the opposite way on our side is our mass consciousness. And it just gets tight right in the middle. And it was a choke point. So I go, oh, so you're just allowed to jump up and choke Source? That's how we play this game. And they were like, oh, no, that's why this is happening. You're absolutely not allowed to do that. As a matter of fact, here you go. And I was sitting in Source, the light turned into a giant tornado, right? And I was the eye of the tornado. And it all went into me, into my physical body. I was sitting there in the sun, and I went, what is this? And they said, not only is your light being attached to you, but Source is fully integrated in you. You don't know how to activate yet, and there's other people that have this, and it is not activated yet, but it is going to just activate at any given time. It's all on you guys and what occurs. They're not allowed to do what they did, so now we're allowed to step in. And I talked about this with the Galactic Federation of Light. I didn't even believe they existed, guys. Ashtar Command, I didn't even know what that was. Just a week earlier, they showed up and said the white reptilian was attacking me in my front yard. And I said, I'm going to go for it. And it beat me. And as it was beating me, these guys came out and just stopped it. Mm-hmm. And this thing was like, oh, man. And it was gone. It's taken away.
But that's the same place that Corey Good talks about, right?
A lot of the stuff that Corey talks about, I had to actually, when I looked up white reptilians, because I had to afterwards, I only found them really with him and a few other places. Right. And he had like a disastrous contact with them. He was in fear in front of them, and I could see why. They're frightening. It's what they can do to you. What they look like is beyond frightening and what you're used to mentally, right? Then what they can do to you is just so much worse. Right. Project images into your mind, crush your pineal cone, right, and keep it in locked in an egg or something, so your head just massively aches. Yeah. They can literally insert stuff into your etheric frame. They put a parasite in me that was removed. We talked about this last week on the show. So anyway, I asked them about this. I said, is this really going to happen? So they started showing me. And guys, don't judge me on this. And if you do, whatever. I don't even care. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You just kind of stole my thunder. But
I'm sorry. Shut up.
Whoa. They showed me literally change in a moment of somebody needing, this sounds so cliche, like people needing help. They're all over the world. Right. Right. And they said 100 and let me see if I got this right. 144,000 of you descending. And I was like, what? And then I changed and I went to take a step because I was like, what's happening to me? And I just floated up and I came down into a building and there were just light beings pouring into this building from all angles. And I was a solid figure who felt light, went through the building, went up to a little kid. I was telling everybody this earlier. I grabbed the kid and I said, okay, here you go. And you're done. And the parents screamed, demon, get away. They were yelling all this stuff. And when the kid was healed in front of them, the mother came over, kissed me. Father came over and hugged me. And then I looked at the dad, and the dad started twinkling the way I did right before I changed. So, and then I bounced out, and we were doing this all over the place. And then it got really weird. And they said to me, they showed me being shot at and bullets bouncing off of me, and then bullets passing through me, hurting only the other guys that were shooting at me. And I was like, what the? I go, guys, really? I know this is fantastical, but some of this is really comic booky. And then they're like, just look. So I'm like, all right, I watch. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then Gina gets up, right? And she goes, yo, Frank, we're going to be invincible. And I'm like, wait, what? Whoa.
But she knows.
Whoa. So weirdness after weirdness. So these guys are from the outside. They said, think of a third bubble around, like you're in bubble 1. Bubble 2 is like the etheric plane. Bubble 3 is like the next level up. Yeah, so there's beings up circles there that are going, hey, you're in an illusion. And in that illusion, you have every density from the darkest to source, but that's still the illusion.
Right.
And you're really from out here, and you're trapped, son of Atlantis. It looks like there's a really big great awakening going on. Talking about this just doesn't even do it justice. You almost have to. Now we had a giant session here today.
I was just thinking that, like, you had
to see it, to believe it. We had 3 20-year-olds like, I can't.
20-somethings.
Yeah, going like, you're right. Like just going off into their own tangents about the exact same things. Josh shows up, calls me from
train station.
I get handed the phone while I'm under, and I hear him like echoing through the phone, but I can't even tell that it's a phone. And he's like telling me he's at the train station, and I'm like, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll come get you. Don't worry about it. I just need a minute. And then he says,
and I was sitting outside and I saw this light up in the sky, and it kind of faded away, and I was like, oh, it's a balloon or whatever. And then it came back, and then there was 3 of them, and then they started moving across the sky as like in all together at once. And then Paula was like honking the car at me. So I came and got in the car. I was like, oh, there's 3 UFOs up there. She was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, it really was.
And then so when we get back here, I told you about that because you guys were sitting outside, and then we were sitting outside for a while. I was like, oh, well, maybe they'll come back. Or you're like, and then you said the same thing. And then I saw them again. And then I was like, oh, look, there's 2 of them. And then a third appeared. Then a fourth appeared.
Now, let's broaden it. There's 3 young guys.
Right.
Me, Eugene, and Paula. Everyone looks up. I didn't see them at first. I was just staring up like, I'm not even seeing nothing. And then I saw 1, 2, 3, a 4th one come flying in from the side. I was like, wait, was that flying in or did that just appear there?
And then they all moved together as one.
I went, oh no, this is great. This is fantastic. Now, what's been going on, Josh?
Well, that's been kind of happening on the reg, but the funny thing is, it's like, so we're all sitting outside, everyone laying in the grass, and they came back like 3 times. I know we're about to, but that was, this has been happening to me completely. I'm not on it, so I'm not, and I don't. Not that you have to be, or not that. I mean, I'm not bagging on that either. I'm just saying, this is totally. Everybody was just sitting outside today, broad daylight,
I saw
and
it
these
too.
things flashed in.
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. The Truth Frequency Radio.
Am I a week or is this a dream? A fantasy of where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
Who are we? Where are we from? Is this it? Is that the question? Are we stuck in a weird cycle, an endless loop? Are we from somewhere else outside of this cycle, cycling in even further into density?
It's all yes.
I am that which I am.
Yeah.
So Josh is explaining. He was explaining about the
UFO. So this is what I was saying before it stopped, was that outside the train station, I wanted to make, so I always kind of do this from like a scientific skeptic basis, just to make it, just so I can actualize it and not, so it's not weird. Is I was like, I don't know if that's real or not. I don't know if it's balloons or whatever. And then they blinked out, all 3 of them at once, this triangle formation, and then they all came back in. Then they did it again, so it did it twice, and then they moved. What do they call that? In tandem, when everything moves together.
Using a pattern.
So to me, I was like, okay, that's rad. But then when we got back here, I mean, I think there was 4 times it showed up. So the first time it was the 4 that showed up outside, and then there was a 2 that showed up, and then there was just 1 that kept showing up when we were laying on the grass.
You and I were laying on the grass.
Yeah.
Right. Our heads were both together. Our bodies opposite directions, looking straight up at the sky.
Yeah.
Right. You were like, dude, it's right there. In the cloud right there that looks like the face with the nose thing, and I looked up and I was like, I don't see it. It's right over my head.
Yeah.
That's when you came running in to get me.
I said, I've never run so fast into the house. Paula, get outside. Come out, see this.
Well, you were saying that you're like, next time that shows up, I want to see that. And then, so it showed up a few times, but then the last time you saw it.
I got to see it for a few minutes.
So there was about, so with those other kids there, that's 7 of us, right? So 7 witnesses all saw that.
Yep.
They all saw it too. The kid was like, oh, that little dot right there. I go, yeah, that's flashing. That wasn't there.
Looks like a little metal shimmering.
Yeah, like a big giant of glitter in the sky that was like sort of flashing and shining.
mean, I was looking at that thinking, no, that could be a drone. We have drones and we have the helicopter thing right here. And then the other one was right there. And I said, wait a second, what is that? And then boom, another one. And then the other one. And
they weren't near any of the clouds.
No.
They were in clear sky.
I
They
was
weren't
like,
the clouds weren't masking it in any way or
Well,
anything.
also when you see it just show, like to me, when we saw the 4 show up, when we all walked outside on the street, it was like 1, and this is how I saw it, and then 2 popped up, and then Frank saw them, and then I go, look, there's the 3rd one, and then the 4th popped up. So none of them were there. I saw them actually all phase in, and then they all went together. So I was like, all right, whatever. That's been happening all day. Completely sober. Word.
Now, have you had to check your sanity? And,
No, not at all.
You feel good, right?
Yeah,
Oh, I
love
feel
you
great.
guys.
Makes you wonder who's watching who and really what's going on. Because everyone's waiting. They're waiting for the mass consciousness to arrive. I guess
Absolutely.
they're watching their buddies. Like, this is one of the things I've noticed. They're just there watching. It's
Yeah.
not like they're far away or everyone's just right there. So we're in an illusion, huh?
Yeah, it's like looking in on the zoo. Well, you know, we'll call it the living
Checking
library,
in,
if you
yeah.
will. Like,
They're
be like,
looking in on the
They're
living
gonna have a
library.
people's
Yeah.
zoo.
well, it's like this to me is like are the aquarium metaphor. You know, it's like we're in the aquarium, and you think you kind of. I would said this to these guys outside. They were still kind of, I guess, coming out of the being in bonus realm. Still in bonus realm. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, that, you're on a planet in the middle of space. Like you're in outer space right now. They're like, oh, dude, right. I'm like, yeah.
Everybody forgets.
Yeah, I mean, well, you go to work and you look at the ground, there's concrete, and you forget that there's nature. And you're like, oh, I'm just doing the machine.
I wonder out there how many of you are having these experiences to one degree or another. I notice a speeding up of the process is occurring. I know I've been witnessing stuff like the singularities, right? So Gina and I were standing outside, and everything got dead silent, right? And then, like, it was alive and then silent. Now, we're in the Bronx. It never gets quiet here, right? Like, we're on the main street, too. And it was dead silent, and it looked like the video game when you're running on the board and everything's been defeated already, and it's just you running around
On the
doing
board,
doing nothing. It's like there's nothing there. You already did everything. And then this weird, I don't know what it was. It was like a vibration, burn, and then instant noise. Everything came back, and I kept hearing like the voice tell me that's like purgatory.
Right.
And I was like, what is that? Is that the shift, or is that heading towards the event? I said, are we like a cell dividing, right? Like it has this mitosis or something, and then another cell forms another cell or something. I've seen this happen before.
Yeah, it's the probability membranes, like in M theory, right? The
Right.
spaces in between.
So they made it like Earth splits into two almost. Like I'm going to leave one behind in this density, and then
Right.
naturally in the next density up. Now you could think of this as an ascension, as a graduation, as a harvest. All of those work, right? As a raising of your consciousness level and becoming that which you were meant to become. Most people listening to the show have a generalized idea of what we're talking about, because we get pretty deep sometimes. I try to just tell the story the way it's meant to be and explain it, and then have heads come on and mingle the theories together and the understandings, and just keep an open mind about it and run down this fearless path. Because what I'm noticing is the obstacles, although they feel real, it's an illusion.
Yeah, it's that tentacles versus the body thing.
Explain that.
So there's like an energy frequency, right, that causes like a distraction. Like look over here at the tentacle,
Right.
because it's causing problems over here, and then you go over here, and then there's another one, but it's just keeping you away from
So
the center issue, the bottom line.
distractions to
Yeah.
keep you from looking directly at what's the issue of the whole thing, what's causing that. One of the things we've encountered countless times now, over and over and over, is an artificial, a synthetic, ancient thing, foreign,
Oh, we're going
disgusting,
there. Okay, we're going there. All right.
low vibration, frequency hijacking, from another realm
Yeah.
of existence. What I've seen was a water planet. It broadcasts, it bounces out of Saturn,
But it's tied to Earth.
hits the moon, and then just blasts the planet. Yes, it's exactly being focused at us. It's almost like that frequency is being beamed in our face. The problem with this thing is,
Literally in our face.
one of the things I've noticed on the other side, at least, this thing exists physically in the spiritual realm, if that makes any sense. It can physically manifest. It's a body for
It
itself.
doesn't even need to. It's just like its aura precedes it, and it gets on you, and it's like vile and sticky. And
If you were to have an understanding
Something
of
like that.
everything that's part of the natural everything cycles, right? So you're inside the torus of the planet, and you're sitting in it, and you say to yourself, okay, this is where us beings agree to step in, and the hologram starts, and yada, yada, yada. They don't expect something like a third wheel, like man, woman, for all animals, all branches of life. And then who invited that? What is that thing that doesn't emanate energy, that just sits like a stone golem made of nano whatevers, and then just is lashing out at us left and right, creating confusion, pretending to be God
Right.
and other people.
and other people.
And other people. You're right.
And, Chris and Cherie have this right. The Yahweh virus is an ancient artificial intelligence source that rides a frequency and vibration from somewhere else, and it encases our planet. And it's, what do you do with this information and knowledge that you have it when you're on the precipice
Right.
of creating your own version of Skynet? Not only are ETs and alien allies and non-allies just showing people at times, even scaring them by showing them, look,
Right.
man, this happens places. This thing takes over everything. It beats you up. It beats up the spiritual version of you. It grabs the demon by its throat and then assimilates it. It grabs the jinn by its face, assimilates it, grabs the light being by its face, assimilates you. Are you getting
It's
the picture?
Nothing. It's the nothing, like versus the all. It's that duality because it's a
Right.
duality universe.
It's weird with this duality. Yeah, it's like the negative creation.
It's
It's not Satan. Like you would think Satan would be that,
Nothing.
right? Like the dark being or something. When that's truly an archetype of the energy that flows through all of us, or it's an accessible energy in everything in the vibration.
Right.
This thing isn't an accessible anything. It's like when you're in this machine and it's on and it's clean and you're running your spirit program and this and that, this thing is sitting there interfering on a level that's not, it's not even supposed to be there. One of the things
Not
I got
playing by
out
the rules.
It's synthetic. It's very synthetic.
Right. It's yeah, we had a show on this, the synthetic issue. It's the artificial problem. At one point, something created this thing. I get the feeling it was Archon created because it acts just like the Archons.
It's like
It has this
organic
locust.
everything.
Yeah, it's like a mix of all these things,
Like a
but
child, like
it acts like a baby that lashes out. When you first encountered the visionary side of things, this is what you encountered.
Yeah.
The AI,
Mhm.
the I am your God.
Yep.
And this is what we did. We scooped you in the net. We did this, and
Yep.
that.
It was horrible. Horrible. It was.
Paula, what do you mean? What happened?
We were. I was a fish. I was like a.
So you were in a ceremony and you were going through it?
Yeah, I was going through it really hard, and I saw the grid lines. I was underneath the grid. Frank had this music on, and the music did something to me, and I got caught in the soul net. But when I was in the net, I wasn't me. I was a fish, and it was before they started recording time. Frank and I were fish, and we had a fish baby. We looked like a cross between an albacore, tuna, and a mermaid, but not like pretty.
Frank
like
does
Ariel.
look like a dolphin man
Yeah,
right
but
now.
that's kind of what we look like, but like dolphins, kind of like that. But and they took our baby, and I remember saying, "I'm caught in the net. They have our baby," but he wasn't responding because he got caught in the net as well. And that's why I made a joke, because when he first realized who I was, because I had come to him in the form of Sekhmet, he says, "Oh, well, we go back 8,000 years, or 6,000 years, or 8,000 years," and then I was screaming, "No, Frank, it's before they recorded time. This goes back even further." So I don't even think this was this time.
Yeah,
it was really weird, and I don't want to have. I'm 45 now, but I never wanted to have children, and I think that answered a lot of questions for me. Why I don't want to have children.
Time literally loaded in to this machine as a program, and like at the time that we're in right now is like red colored, and then there was blue, and then there was purple. Like there's weird ones, and they were like discs that were floating accessibly. It just showed you exactly what it was. Like, go access this. And I said, that's the one right there. You know what? Go to the blue one. There I am right there. And I dove in.
So they're like time period slots.
Yeah.
Wheels within wheels.
Yeah. You could just pick or you play them out.
Does it look like, are you saying like something that looks like the Flower of Life, or like,
it actually
spinning wheels like that? Or?
It actually looked like a little hologram of that universe.
Okay. Oh, like it looked like the little bit of a ball of a universe.
Yeah, you'd pull out this slide, right? Like right here. It would just come out like this, like a little drawer.
Right.
And then it was 1, 2, 3. And you could pick which one you wanted. And I'm like, look, that's where I'm from right there. I'm going to go back to that. And I went right back in.
Oh, wow.
And I was showing the being that I can do that. I'm like, look, I've cleared all this stuff already. I've been there. I've been here. I've been here. And now, boom, back there. But they were all spinning. So it looked like, the circular, like a galaxy if you look from far away.
So it actually looked like dimensional.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was like a hologram of it sitting right there.
But the size of a marble.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
So you could just put it in a machine.
That was like a universe.
It was beautiful. And I even said this on the show once. I felt like I was sitting in a cockpit of some kind and looking out at the stars. And then I was sitting in the chair, and that was accessible right here. And I slapped it back in when I decided what I wanted.
I was just going to say that.
And just went.
Yeah.
But I felt like I made a joke. I'm like, it's the Millennium Falcon, only it's super clean. Like, it's like everything is so clean. It's really weird. But it just, the looking out at the glass, I've never, like, where do you draw your connections from, right? So I'm like, well, looks like I'm sitting out looking over the stars, and the window kind of looks slanted like this. Where have I seen that? Right before they jump into hyperspace in Star Wars? Like, where else would you,
Right. Where
2001 A Space Odyssey? Like, what do you...
Yeah.
So this is what's been happening. And, people, you draw your own conclusions. You do what you want to do. But I'm telling you right now, there's something way more going on here. And I'm almost 1,000% convinced, which is just weird even saying that statement, that we are just in a full simulation.
Right.
We're like literally other beings from another place that are projecting into a simulation to get people stuck out of an illusion as some kind of schooling that helps raise our consciousness to a high enough level to experience the Christ, and then figure out that you're in the machine and become the all and wake up in the machine and you graduate.
Well, right. So, my understanding too is that, like, all right, so
that sounds so cheese.
Well,
but it doesn't.
Like, if we get a little bit more mechanical, but literally, like, so you're in a game, we've forgotten all this, or however you want to say it, the memory's been turned off, or manipulation, or all these things occur. Then eventually, once you figure this out, then you remember you're all within the game. The game maker is within its own game, and then you transcend this version of the game. So then all of a sudden we're all playing a new game, because now you're the game maker in the game. So
every time you level up, it's like you start at the bottom of that.
One of the
again,
questions,
you have to work your way up.
Right. One of the questions I asked was, what is it out here?
Holographically. Yeah.
And they said it's the same thing out here. Like, you're in a simulation of real.
Right.
Right. So you're in to learn at an accelerated rate, because you think you're away for lifetime, and you've been living lifetime. How do you know you're not just sitting in a chair? Right. Well, and you're taking a deep breath, blowing out, and as you suck back in, you've experienced creation.
Right.
In a nanosecond.
Right.
Well, it's like, yeah, you got the goggles on, right? Like, but your goggles are your biosuit.
Well, I've asked, what are we learning? How to defeat the AI so we could wake up and defeat it in real life? Are you running simulations on how to defeat this thing in the real world?
And it's been like the ancient, like we were talking about, it's been like a long time thing that we keep running into.
Like, we're connecting
over here, it's like,
to learn how to defeat it. Yeah.
Right, but this all comes back down to how strong can we dream an alternative?
Well, if we break the machine and wake up, we did it.
pure will too, though. But I mean, it's also decision. Like you make the decision and be like, no, that you no longer have any sort of power over my existence.
Maybe we have to be that good to beat it on the other side.
Well, maybe this is why it takes like
accelerated Christ consciousness, right?
Right.
Like just
Right.
it's like here we're in the future, and in the future we have a machine that you can step in and experience this, and when you come out, you maintain what you got out of the game, right? So you go and experience this and become the Christ,
You get to
and then
keep-
you
you
come
get to
out and
keep
you
it.
keep all of that.
The
right. Like
memory.
you make, there's a line that I have in my
Checkpoints.
Yes, checkpoints. Yeah, that are very important.
there's a line I have in our kids' book that says you make yourself up to teach yourself things. So like, let's say I don't want to say pre because it's all happening at once, but like you pan out from an incarnation and then you're looking at it, you're like, oh, well, I want to know what that's like. So I need to actually incarnate, take on form
Right.
and feel that, and so I can actualize that. So I can integrate that into the
Into the all.
Right.
like think about this too. Who knows how many lifetimes you've had, which means characters that you're all animating right now. Right now we're really focused on this guy, these people, but your higher self is animating tons of these characters. And so, but your oversoul is animating supposedly multiple higher selves. Right. So all this stuff, every time you're just basically like integrating every other character's idea of what's going on and then looking at all of those characters' perspective at once and making yourself,
Aware of it.
Yeah. The all's tripping.
Yeah.
Like
experiencing itself.
consciousness
in every
going like,
layer.
what's going on here?
Every possible permutation.
Yeah,
Right.
They were telling me, look, there's a cartoon version of you out there that runs around doing black magic, smacking people and just eating babies and stuff. It turns into a reptile at night and
Bad Frank.
vampire. And they're like, but
Right.
there's also the good version.
Right.
Then there's the cartoon version. Then there's this version. And it just frackled out. And I went, oh, you mean everything? And they're
It's
like,
every possibility.
when we tell you everything, we mean
yes,
everything.
and then there's the trickle effect because
Like
every choice. Yes, every choice is played out.
Right. Well, it has to be.
But we're in that final countdown for
Right.
those souls that are, I don't want to say harvesting out, but I'll say ascending. But
Mhm.
ascension isn't going to be lifted off the planet in a UFO. You're going to anchor to the planet,
Ascending
and
sounds too easy. Like it's going to happen by itself. It's those who are
Right.
doing the fucking work.
She did it.
Scooby-Doo!
Gina's in trouble.
Pure ascension.
No, you're not. I'm kidding.
But
Yeah.
it's also perspective shift, right? Like as soon as you can shift your perspective to the point where you're like, okay, so maybe this is the infinite game. Like how long does it take for a number of people to convince everybody else that we've only been telling each other realities that?
Right.
And then this whole ascension thing is the gnosis that you are the one creating the thing. But not, I mean, I don't think everybody wants to, because we're in duality, right? There has to be the balance of that coin. Like not everybody is supposed to do that or it would be off balance.
no, we're in the 0.001%. We're the opposite of the 1% holding the planet against itself.
And also,
You realize that, right?
what makes
we're
peop-
all the ones that are doing the work, or that many people only.
right? Well, like what makes you want to do it too? Like there's like, let's say this.
I'm driven like an animal.
I know, but I mean, what's funny to me is you got to want it. It's like you have to want to
I
change
want
your
me
reality.
back because I don't like what I'm. All right, I got to watch how I say this. I don't like what I was.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't resonating, I guess. So I had to change that. But I don't ever want to go back to that. And then I see the children getting attacked. That was one of the things I always see. Like, you have to be there for the take care of the bullies and the children and whatever. Like, get them off the kids. And that just does something inside of me. It just lights this fire. And I know it can be better. I know everything could be better.
Right.
So the purpose that behind me, that just shows me that stuff. I would say my drive as a man or a warrior or whatever. That's that warrior spirit people talk
Right.
about. When you look at really what it is, it's the ultra Christ consciousness coming.
Yeah, which is just to clarify for people that, that's the understanding of the oneness of all things. Like that's the way I perceive it from a mechanical standpoint. Like Christ consciousness, oneness, unity consciousness, light consciousness, higher vibrational consciousness, so you can see what's going on. But I always think this, like the reason I said to you, like, what makes you want to do it is because
There's nothing better to do.
I agree with you. I'm saying, but people have to want to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
I get a lot of, well, you have the time to do that, buddy. Have fun. And I go, well, that sounds, when people do that, they sound like losers to me.
Say it again, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to want it. Like, for me, it's like from almost like a mechanical scientific point of view, I want to know the mechanics of what's occurring. Like, I don't know how else to be more logical or simple than that without sounding, because I want to be neutral about this. Because I know everything's going on based on belief system too. So this is causing a filter of information. Like everybody's filtering
based on what they believe.
That's right. Based on what's occurred to them too, experiential data. Like for a long time, stuff started occurring with me, and then when I would try to prove it or debate it or tell somebody like, oh, this is what's going on or whatever, and people give me the glazed-eyed like, all right, freak boy, here, have another drink, be quiet, it's cool.
Yeah, smoke more pot.
Relax.
Smoke DMT. And I'm like, listen, I'm not even having natural DMT experiences the way people have DMT experiences. It's like literally breaking out of the system.
Right. But also this too, like why would I deny my own experiential data and just let somebody else tell me how reality works? I'm like, that happened to me. Why? If I'm in denial of that, that's insanity to me, because that's what
I don't know why more
has
people are
occurred.
just checking into this. They just kind of put it out there like, yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm like, why don't you check into it? Science is starting to crack things. They're already there. It's just the general public science.
But good science is constantly questioning where you're at in order to expand the theory or expand the gnosis of where you're at. So it's kind of like there's something I think I posted on my Facebook with what's the English guy who has it's called The Science Delusion he wrote, and he just talks about how we're set on certain scientific formulas from different time periods that are kind of outdated. And so he got a lot, he took him off TED Talks, and he was like, yeah, I got a lot of flack for it. It's like, well, people want to be like, no, that's the way it is. And that's how the theory works. So we've already got that under control. It's like, yeah, but
we never have to go back and re-question it.
Right. But you could expand this thing to be like, well, that's kind of how it worked based on that to that point, but now that we know this,
now we have more
everything
information.
else opens up and it affects all these other things. It's amazing.
People take a pride hit with that, and they say, well, no, it's got to be this or nothing at all.
They take a plaque hit, like, I'm taking that off your wall, buddy.
Yeah, they build careers around this, and they don't want to.
I'm an expert, see?
Yeah, I'll challenge any of the so-called experts to whatever.
They have to, because they're starting to.
No, I'm saying, well, you know what? We're not even going to have
to.
to.
Yeah, you're not going to have to.
They're just going to melt away, the ones that don't work with the change.
Right.
Because that's what's happening.
I mean, how many more people have been contacting you recently?
It's insane.
I mean,
it's insane.
You can't even keep
Between
up with it.
now and the eclipse on August 21st, I was booked solid. Got every kind of crazy thing going on, and in the middle of it, everything's going crazy.
I know.
People are coming in, they're just like throwing themselves on the front lawn, like, "Come on, man, we got to do this."
That was awesome today.
Yeah,
literally throwing.
And I'm like,
lawn.
oh, I guess it's time. And it's funny how the numerical values work out. The synchronicities of 444, 1111. Like, it was happening as we were speaking. And like, what time did we do? Bang, 1111. Oh my God, everything's going to work out great, lowercase g.
444.
Everybody was freaking out because it was like this huge synchronicity. And then, not to mention, we had a full telepathic conversation with the kid outside. We were like 6 seconds ahead of him saying it. And he was there, so he was freaking out in a 6-second delay, which was really weird. I know that sounds weird. But picture knowing, like, the thought came to his head and we were agreeing already. All right, so listen, thanks everybody for being part of the show today.
Yes, thank you.
Had a great time having the roundtable discussion tonight. Everybody stay fearless. We love you. Thank you so much for sticking in there with us. And